Welcome back. Jeremy Preagitzer, Riverdale High School. I teach TV and film. So today I'm doing assessment number 2, choice assignments. And I've selected to do one of the standards that I selected from the earlier assessment. This is going to be, again, it's a visual arts assessment. Since I teach film and television production, we don't really have our own standards. We kind of feed off of language arts and visual arts. So for visual arts, I've selected 912C24, and it says classify art, and I put film, classify artworks. So classify films using accurate film vocabulary and knowledge of film history to identify and categorize movement, styles, techniques, and materials. So this is really easy. I always have a really cool assignment where we focus on either the film movements or film history in general. So for this one, I'm going to talk just about movements for a moment. The 5 opportunities that I've given them to work on this. The first one, make a video showing your understanding of the major film movements and genres, which is what I do. They could write a 1-page summary or analysis to show understanding of the major film movements. They can make a collage or a Google slideshow with images showing their understanding of film movement. They could script a skit that introduces the major film movements or a select film movement of their choice. They could create a storyboard using the major film movements and or genres, or they can create a visual representation of the timeline of the major film movements. So I've given them that one right there, creating a visual representation of the timeline. They could actually do that in a video if they wanted. They could create another visual element. They could create something in Google Slides. They could really just make something in Paint if they wanted that shows a timeline representing the major film movements, being able to describe those. So there are 5 kind of things that they can tweak and play with to really work with the information that I'm giving them, but in their own way. So there's some writing in there, there's some art, there's doing technological stuff with filmmaking. There's all kinds of stuff they could do. And obviously through all of these I use Google Classroom. So everything will be submitted through the classroom, which is again using technology. So what is the goal of my lesson? The goal of this project is for students to be able to show knowledge of the major film movements. They should be able to name at least one of the movements if I have them do a movement on their own, or if I have them do a movement, a representation of the movements throughout, and look at the major film movements. They should be able to name those movements, and then a brief description of each, including the time period of the movement, and then be able to name several films from that movement, and then how those films relate to the movement overall. How does it connect explicitly to the standard? Well, I read the standard to you, so students will be able to identify a film's categorization in a movement through the identification of the elements that qualify it for that movement. In doing this, students should be able to show their understanding of the movements and how films are classified according to the movements themselves, along with the vocabulary necessary for understanding film and movements. How we include concepts of UDL to address the multiple means of engagement. Well, I explained that for this project. I have a video that captures the basics of each of the major film movements that I think is short, engaging, and fun. I also have an infographic that breaks down the film movements into an easy to understand timeline of the events that represent those movements. And then I also have a Google slideshow that includes the major film movements, along with an interactive PDF that guides students through the major film movements. So there's 4 kind of areas that I can really engage them with that are kind of fun and interesting and at least interactive. How we include the concepts of UDL to address the principle of multiple means of representation. Well, representation, the multiple means of representation offers students that opportunity to develop their understanding through the use of interactive text and multimedia. So the interactive PDF that I'm including has the ability to be read by a screen reader and or be translated through Google Translate. The video has captioning that has been checked for accuracy, and I'm going to provide a PDF of the text of those closed captions to help even more. The infographic will be interactive as well, including hyperlinks for the web to deepen their understanding through other online resources, very similar to what you do in this course. And these resources will be available for access as students complete the assignment. So these are all ways that we can reach them. And then how will I include concepts of UDL to address multiple means of action and expression? This is my favorite part because it gives them the opportunity to show me what they've learned through these creative methods. So students will be expected to complete one of the tasks that I listed. I started with 5, I added another one, so there are actually 6 for this project. They can submit a storyboard that they've drawn by hand. They can even create a storyboard in Google Slides if they want. They can submit a written response to the posited questions regarding film history and the movements. So they can write stuff down. They can write it by hand if they want. If they're more of an ELA student, they could definitely write a short paper describing the film movements and the major representations of them. They could submit a Google Slides presentation showing their understanding of the movements and film history, or they could submit a video, my favorite, showing their understanding of the movement that they've chosen, or if I have them do an overview, they could explain each of the film movements throughout that video. For each of these students will be assessed on their knowledge of and understanding of film movements and their relationship to modern cinema. Hopefully that makes sense. I think I covered everything that I needed to, so we'll circle back and we'll see you again next time.